Most businesses fail because they don't have good bookkeeping. They don't understand their numbers. They look at revenue. They send screenshots of their revenue on Instagram. They don't understand their costs, profits. Sometimes we think it's simple, right? Here's my revenue, here's my cost, this is my profit, but there's a lot more that goes into bookkeeping and understanding your numbers. And as someone who runs like a large business with a lot of employees, a lot of overhead, we spend $100K a month on payroll, and one small mistake, one miscalculation, which I've done in the past when we were smaller, could lead to like the company completely going under. So I'm joined by an expert today, Nathan Hirsch of EcomBalance. They're an expert in bookkeeping for e-commerce brands and agencies. Nathan's a veteran in the space. He's a founder of multiple companies. And this business really helps and empowers a lot of brand owners in e-commerce and agencies understand their numbers, understand their bookkeeping. And in this video, he's going to break down all of the nuances of bookkeeping. I'm talking about like doing bookkeeping yourself or using a CPA, cash basis, accrual basis, P&Ls, all of the little nitty-gritty stuff. This is going to be a masterclass on bookkeeping in 20 minutes. So stay tuned, guys, because this is going to be amazing. Nathan, thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. Excited to chat about e-commerce bookkeeping mistakes.
I love it. I love it. Tell us a little bit about the company, and then let's just dive right in.
We're a monthly bookkeeping service. We charge you on the 1st. You get books by the 15th. Income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. Pretty straightforward. I was an e-commerce seller, so was my business partner, and we wanted to design the easiest to use monthly bookkeeping service out there.
Yeah, and I think honestly, one of my biggest issues building my business for MMA nutrition, for the longest time, I just didn't understand my numbers, pulling things, out of Amazon, using A2X into QuickBooks, all of that stuff. I didn't know how to do it. And I really never understood my numbers. I would use software like whatever, Helium 10 or, any of these profit tools, and they never actually gave me good numbers and good P&Ls. So once I learned P&Ls and hired a bookkeeper and stuff like that, the entire game changed for me. I really started understanding my numbers. So can you start like diving into, steps like doing bookkeeping yourself, hiring a bookkeeper, stuff like that?
Yeah. So let's start with number one. You should never be taking a course on bookkeeping. One thing that kind of blew my mind is the bookkeeping companies out there that are trying to teach you to do your own bookkeeping. I learned the hard way never to do your own books. First of all, it's a terrible use of your time, especially early on in your business. You might be thinking, I don't have money. I can't afford a bookkeeper. I'll save money by doing it myself. During the beginning of your business, that's when all your time is super valuable. The time you spend on sales, new products, marketing, whatever it is. So make sure you're not spending 10 hours a month opening up QuickBooks and trying to reconcile your accounts. That's a huge waste of your time. And second of all, anytime that you do bookkeeping, most of the time it's just going to have to get redone later by someone who really knows what they're doing and knows e-commerce bookkeeping. And cleanup work always costs more than just doing it right from day one. So you think you're saving money, usually ends up costing you money. So that's my number one. Don't do bookkeeping yourself. I did it myself for my Amazon business. Then I hired my now business partner, but at the time he was a college kid in one of my classes to do my bookkeeping, and he wasn't a bookkeeper. Then I dumped it on my account at the end of the year and had a gigantic fee and had to file my taxes late, and it was just a complete mess. Then I switched to quarterly, and that just didn't give me enough information to be able to make decisions on my business. And finally, I realized monthly bookkeeping is where it's at, and that's what I set up in all my businesses going forward.
I love it, man. I love it. I was in the same place too. Doing bookkeeping myself was a nightmare. I would say that's one of my weaknesses back then. And as soon as I hired the right people, number one, I learned way better bookkeeping. And then number two, I had really clean books and I could make decisions. My time is best spent making more money for the business, not running around tracking every single. I just need someone to do all that tedious work and present it to me.
Yeah. So I kind of hinted number two, doing books, anything other than monthly is a mistake. And here's the thing. There are a lot of reasons to have clean books. Like I was able to exit free up because we hired a bookkeeper from day one. We ran the business for 4 years. When we went to sell it, we had 4 years of immaculate bookkeeping, but most entrepreneurs don't end up selling their business. Clean books can also help you get funding and investments. Very hard to get those things without clean books. It can also help you make tax season less stressful. Instead of waiting to the end of the year and having to file extensions, if your books are being done monthly, tax season's no big deal. But the real reason to do bookkeeping is decision making. You want to be able to make decisions every single month based on what the numbers are telling you. You want to know, hey, am I profitable this month? Or is this product losing me money? Or do I have to lower payroll? Or how did this month compare to the same month last year? These are things you have to know to make decisions. You can't just be making decisions on money deposited in your bank account or sales numbers or by gut. You need to be making decisions based on what the numbers are actually telling you.
This is crucial, man. This is the biggest thing, decision making. I don't know how I could wait 3 months and then realize, I was spending too much money on a software, or my payroll is upside down and I can't afford people and I now have to go into debt. So I think, monthly, definitely. I know some people that do it weekly as well. When you get into like the 50 and $80 million range of businesses, they're doing it weekly because every dollar matters. So yeah, I don't think anything, longer than monthly, I don't think is acceptable. So what are the tools that you're using for quick, bookkeeping and stuff like that?
Yeah, and real quick, I agree with you. Monthly is the minimum. If you need to hire a service to do it weekly and you're at that size, that can make sense too. But for most businesses, monthly is the right amount of time. So yeah, tools. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. So I'm going to try to break it down. And we see this every day when we're integrating new clients. So first of all, there's 2 bookkeeping softwares that you should decide between using. QuickBooks Online, not QuickBooks Desktop, because we live in the 2020s or 2023 right now, where you need to be able to hire remote bookkeepers. Unless you're hiring someone to come to your office, you need QuickBooks Online. Or Xero, which is another great company that will get you to a certain point. Those are the top 2. Don't use Wave, don't use GoDaddy Bookkeeping, don't use an Excel, obviously. There are tools out there that are cheaper than QuickBooks and cheaper than Xero. They are cheaper or free for a reason. They're only to get you so far. You're going to end up having to switch to QuickBooks or Xero anyway down the line. So you might as well just do it in those softwares from day one. And if you're using certain tools that are very specific, it makes it harder for you to switch bookkeepers if you have to. Like if you use Bench and you're using Bench's software and Bench raises the price on you, well, guess what? You're stuck in Bench's software. No one else uses it. And then you need to transfer it over or start a new set of books. So choose QuickBooks Online, choose Xero. Those are the bookkeeping softwares. Now, if you're an e-commerce seller, you need a connecting tool to go from QuickBooks Online or Xero to your marketplaces, Amazon, Shopify, whatever it is. For whatever reason, Amazon and Shopify have not made it easy to connect to QuickBooks and get accurate numbers. You need to use a connecting tool like A2X. There's a few other competitors out there, but you need those tools if you want to get sales numbers, refunds, returns, all that stuff right in QuickBooks. And you need to work with someone that understands and knows those tools. We're a gold partner with A2X. There's lots of other partners on the site. Use people that know the whatever connecting software that you're using. So we talked about the QuickBooks Online or Xero, the connecting tool A2X. Lastly is the right setup when it comes to bank accounts and credit cards. Hopefully you know that you should never intermingle personal and business. You shouldn't be charging business expenses to your personal credit card, but it's not, you're not going to get in trouble with the IRS if you have a personal checking account that's just for business. That is okay as long as you're not intermingling. The problem is personal checking accounts and personal credit cards don't allow view-only access and have way less functionality than the business account. So you're going to end up having to download statements every month and pass it over to your bookkeeper, which just kind of wastes a lot of time on both ends and can lead to a higher cost. So you want to have a business checking account, a business credit card, and you want to use one that allows view-only access. There's a handful that do, a handful that don't. Make sure you check and make sure it does. You don't want to have to switch bank accounts down the line. That's going to make it easier and streamlined for everyone. So make sure that you kind of take that into account. My last kind of thought on that, and I know there's some profit first people out there that if you struggle to hold money for taxes and you need to move money around to save for that, my mentality in business when it comes to that stuff is less is more. For most people, you don't need 5 bank accounts and to move money around each month. You don't need 10 credit cards. You can always add a credit card or bank account down the line as it makes sense, or have 2 credit cards, one for inventory, one for expenses to help segment, but try to keep it as minimum as possible and only add stuff if necessary.
And the way that I have mine set up, so I use Chase Bank. I have a company account, which is where all of the money transactions happen. I have another account just because we have DSP ad spend, so people send us money for ad spend that we will then pay Amazon. So I like it to not intermingle with our bank account because it's not money that we own. That's the only 2 banks I have. Then I have a credit card, and this is, something that I do. I have a dedicated credit card for all like business, food, travel expenses, things like that. And that one I use, I get a lot of points on, and then it gets immediately reimbursed by the business. So it's fully for business purposes. I get the points from it, and then, I'm constantly paying it off with one bank account. But that's about it. I don't like to have too many bank accounts. In my personal, I have a bunch of bank accounts. I have my main one, my personal tax one, my savings one, like all these different ones. And then at the end, I realized like I honestly just pull from all of them anyway. So it's not like I'm following like a system. And the best solution to having multiple bank accounts is just to have a lot of money, because then it doesn't really matter.
That's very true. I guess if you have lots of money in it, then you could split it up however you want.
Yeah.